How's it going, boys? Johnny Superb Man here, and today, you know what I gotta talk about, the NHL entry draft. My God, what a 2015 we're gonna have. Hopefully the offseason is gonna bring some more changes, but I don't even know what to talk about. There's so much, the signings, the trades, the actual draft itself. So I wrote down a few stories that I'd like to give my opinions on, but I'll just let you guys know there's way too much to cover. Way too much, alright? So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. First up, I already talked about this a little bit in my last shootout commentary, but I'll address it again. Robin Lehner and David Legwand traded to the Buffalo Sabres for a 2015 first-round pick. A lot of people were saying that the Buffalo Sabres gave up way too much. I like what Buffalo did. They already have the prospects in their pool. Some prospects got traded away, right? But Sam Reinhart from last year, they drafted Jack Eichel. They also traded for Ryan O'Reilly, right? So why not bring in a goaltender and hopefully, eventually he becomes a legitimate starter. You can't just draft. Eventually, you do have to make some trades. I really like what Buffalo did. And the Ottawa Senators, I mean, they got 3 goaltenders. It seems like Anderson and Andrew Hammond are their goaltenders that they want. They're not looking for a goalie of the future. I guess they feel like they can be a playoff team again next year. So go with Andy and Hammy, the 2 guys that got you there and the 2 guys that played during the playoffs, right? So I think it's a win-win for both teams. It makes sense. Let's move on. The next trade, and this is where it all started. This is where the day got crazy. The Boston Bruins trading away Dougie Hamilton to the Calgary Flames for a 2015 first and 2 2015 second rounders. All right, from the side of the Calgary Flames, I think it's absolutely incredible. They proved that they're not a rebuilding team anymore. Yes, they have young talent, but they were in the playoffs this year. They even made it to the second round of the playoffs, right? They still have some growth to go because when they went up against the Anaheim Ducks, they got smoked. But with Mark Giordano coming back next year, and with this trade not having to touch your roster at all to acquire a potential future top 2 defenseman, boom, just like that, your team is better for next year. You didn't trade away anybody that got you to the playoffs this year. You just add in Dougie Hamilton. I mean, the draft picks, yes, but you have Sean Monahan, you have Johnny Gaudreau, you have Sam Bennett, right? You have other younger players. I love what the Calgary Flames did. All they need now is a legitimate starting goaltender, and they have a team, man. Oh, great trade for the Calgary Flames. But the Boston Bruins, you know, I'm trying to, I don't want to be one of those guys that just automatically says, oh, they got fleeced, stupid trade, what are they doing? You know, maybe give them the benefit of the doubt. The 2015 first and 2 seconds was nice at the time, because maybe you thought, oh, they might flip this, and there were also rumors that Dougie Hamilton didn't want to sign with Boston, like they offered him a contract, so instead of going through the entire summer not signing him, you know, the negativity, just get him out of there, all right, but man, that just seems like such a cornerstone that you could have built around, just gone now from Boston. They trade away Kessel, they trade away Thornton, they trade away Hamilton, they trade away Sagan. Who's next, man? Tuukka Rask? My God. Then they traded away Milan Lucic to the Los Angeles Kings for a first, Martin Jones and Colin Miller. This one made more sense to me. Milan Lucic only has 1 year left at $6 million, I believe. Is he going to re-sign with Boston? If they didn't make the playoffs again, would they lose him for nothing, right? So this one does make sense. It also frees up some cap space for them. They get a first back. They got another backup goaltender in Jones and Subban now. What's going to happen there? Colin Miller, I don't know anything about. A lot of people were saying, why the hell would the Los Angeles Kings do this? I'll tell you why. It's because Justin Williams is going to free agency. He's got a really good contract as Justin Williams, but it's up this year. And because he's a little bit of an older player, he's got a Conn Smythe. He wants a payday. He wants a severance package for his retirement, right? So if they want to re-sign Justin Williams, it'd have to be like $5 million per year, $6 million per year, but somewhere between like 4 or 5 years, something like that. I don't think LA wants to do that. So they don't have to re-sign Justin Williams now, and now they take on Milan Lucic's $6 million contract, but it's only for 1 more year, right? So they get that player that they need, but they don't have to worry about the term. That's why I think it makes sense for the LA Kings. You know they want to come back to win their 3rd Stanley Cup in 5 years. Lucic replaces Justin Williams for $3 million more. That's about it for 1 year. All right, so that's why it makes sense for the LA Kings. And then with the, we'll stick with Boston here. The draft picks that Boston got, they drafted Zboril, DeBrusk, and Shenishin. I don't know any one of these guys, so I'm not going to pretend to know if this is a bad picks or not. It seems like a lot of Boston fans don't like it. And they still had 3 second-round picks as well, right? So 6 picks in the first 6 picks belonged to the Boston Bruins in the first 2 rounds. That's incredible. So maybe their rebuild is going to happen. I know that DeBrusque guy, people were saying he's a really good goal scorer, but this is where I don't know what I'm talking about, right? So Boston Bruin fans, I want to hear what you guys have to say about these draft picks and these trades. Next, we'll move on. We already kind of talked about it, but Ryan O'Reilly and McGinn traded to the Buffalo Sabres for Zadorov, Grigorenko, JT Compher, and a 2015 second. So Buffalo continuing to say, screw it to draft picks. We already have enough. Let's bring in some talent. The thing about this trade is it's great for Buffalo if O'Reilly signs. He's an unrestricted free agent next year. You know, if they make him the guy and plays him alongside Eichel, I know he's a center, right? But I don't know how they're going to do it. But if they give him the money, this could be his team, basically. And he has a lot of young talent that's coming up underneath him to help him out in his future years. He's a youngin' himself, O'Reilly. I think he's like 24, 25 years old, right? So it makes sense for Buffalo. If they can't sign him, they did give up a lot in Zadorov. I know that Colorado wants defensemen. Grigorenko makes sense for me because I think he was going back to the KHL. No good for Buffalo, right? So trade him away. Compher, I don't know, and a draft pick. All right. So O'Reilly and Buffalo, man. I don't like that as a Leaf fan. I was hoping he would come to Toronto. Very interesting for Buffalo. We'll move on to the Edmonton Oilers. And Edmonton making a huge splash. First of all, obviously drafting Connor McDavid, right? But Peter Chiarelli, he's not waiting. He's going right out there to find assets that can play alongside of McDavid in year number 1. No more waiting there in Edmonton, right? First, they traded for Griffin Reinhart from the New York Islanders, and that one's a really good one. I know a lot of Islander fans were saying that he's not NHL ready yet. He maybe even a little bit of a bust. There was defensemen like Morgan Rielly that was drafted after Griffin Reinhart. Morgan Rielly's already played in the NHL, right? So what did the Edmonton Oilers get here? I think he's a hometown kid, though. And Edmonton, everyone's been saying they need defensemen, right? So now you got Darnell Nurse and Griffin Reinhart. If he does end up becoming a top 4 defenseman or a top 2 defenseman, that's fantastic. And I know they traded away a first and a second, but they don't need it. They got plenty of prospects, right? So it's a weird trade. I think it's a good trade for the Islanders. They know what they're getting with the draft picks. It's hit or miss for Edmonton. I think they're expecting him to be a top 4 defenseman, right? So he's got to develop. And then they also traded for Cam Talbot from the New York Rangers and Cam Talbot and a 2015 something. Hang on. This is unprofessional. I had it here for a second. Cam Talbot and a 2015 7th round pick going to the Edmonton Oilers in return for a 2015 second, a 2015 third, and a 2015 7th. I thought I read somewhere that Glenn Sather turned down a first rounder for Cam Talbot. Maybe it was from an Eastern Conference team. Doesn't want a goaltender to come back to bite him in the ass, so it makes sense. Trade him to a Western Conference team. You won't have to worry about him. Get some draft picks back. Henrik Lundqvist is the man there in New York, right? So makes sense for both teams. Again, another trade where the Oilers are trading for a guy that they're hoping can turn out to be something, just like Griffin Reinhart, right? So we'll see what happens there. And also, when I added it all up, I found an interesting stat when it comes to Edmonton. The Oilers, they traded away 6 picks in the 2015 draft between the Talbot, Reinhart, and there was another trade in there. I forget which one it was. They traded away 6 freaking picks. Holy crap, man. That's incredible. And, of course, my quiet Toronto Maple Leafs picking up picks. Some people were saying, why the hell were the Toronto Maple Leafs moving down? Put it like this. They had the 24th overall pick from Nashville. They already used their top 4 pick on Mitch Marner, right? So they already got their first round pick. They took their 24th overall pick and moved it back to 34, moving it down 10 spots. But by moving it down 10 spots, they were able to pick up a 61st overall pick and a 68th. So basically, you sacrifice 10 spots to pick up 2 more draft picks in the first 70. All right? I like it with Toronto. When it comes to that late in the draft, well, not that late, but when it comes to what we need quantity over quality. We got our quality in Marner. After that, we needed quantity, all right? So I like what the Toronto Maple Leafs did. And also, Devin Dubnyk, I read, just signed a 6-year, $4.33 million contract. Well, $4.33 per year million contract. I think it's a great deal for Devin Dubnyk. The Minnesota Wild, I think, would have wanted him for less years, maybe 1 or 2 more years to prove himself, right? But you can't take that chance. You don't want him to go to free agency, so you got to give him the term. But what I like is 4.33. That's low enough. You know what I mean? It's good enough for Dubnyk. That's good money for him because his career was almost over there in Edmonton. And for Minnesota, I'm sure they would have liked it a little bit lower, but I'm sure if he goes to free agency, he could get north of $5 million the way he played this year, right? So good deal for both sides. Good deal for both sides. And then, of course, the actual NHL entry draft. So many trades that happened. They overshadowed these kids coming into the NHL. McDavid to Edmonton. Everyone talking about him being ruined. I don't know, man. They made some moves, picking up some players, picking up some assets. Darnell Nurse will probably come up next year. They're going to have a lot of youngins playing next year. It's going to be interesting to see what the Edmonton Oilers do. Jack Eichel to Buffalo. I think this is a solid pick, man. In like 30 seconds, Buffalo picks up Eichel and O'Reilly, right? They already have Sam Reinhart. Maybe he's going to play the wing now, but their center core is set for the future if they can re-sign O'Reilly. Very nice. Dylan Strome to Arizona. I was kind of hoping that we could get Dylan Strome in Toronto, big first-line center. I'm not angry with Mitch Marner or anything like that. Some people were saying that Arizona were going to trade away. Some Boston fans were saying, 2 of their 3 picks were going to be traded to Arizona for their 3rd. Didn't happen. So Arizona's now got Strome in the middle of Duclair and Max Domi for the future. Very nice. Mitch Marner to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I know Don Cherry's happy. Instead of Noah Hannafin, they went with the Ontario boy. So I'm hoping that Mitch Marner can develop. I wouldn't say he plays next year. He looks a little scrawny. Not small, but he looks like a kid still, you know what I mean? Not like Noah Hannafin, who when he went up there, he looked like a man already at that age. And what a great pick for Carolina to get Noah Hannafin at number 5. That fits in, man, because if they're holding on to the stalls, just put another defenseman in there. I think they got Hayden Fleury last year, Justin Falk. Put another defenseman in there. They're going to be a hard team to deal with. So, boys, there you go. There are my opinions about the draft. Obviously, I can't cover everything, so if I didn't talk about the trade that you wanted me to, I'm sorry, but just way too much. Over the summer, we'll pick team by team, and we'll break apart what they've individually been doing, all right? But I got to say, incredible draft, exciting draft, and hopefully this sets up the offseason. Still some assets out there, like the Toronto Maple Leafs. Kessel wasn't traded. Phaneuf wasn't traded, right? So people are being patient. Wait till a few free agents get signed, and then we'll see even more trades, hopefully, all right? So, boys, let me know what you think about the draft, and let me know what you think is still to happen in this offseason.